Good evening, how's everybody? Everybody all right? Yeah! Okay, good? Those of you in the back, you okay? Yeah! You okay? Good. We come here a long way to play, all the way from New York. Hope everybody's impressed by that. We come here to play a little music. We have been dodging the volcano, trying to stay away from the volcano. Can anybody tell me the name of the volcano? Well, that's what I thought it was. I'm looking for a good name for the volcano. I'm calling it E-I-E-I-O, okay? Name of the volcano this evening. We come to play the blues. Everybody here had the blues at one time or the other. Okay, not all sad blues, not all happy blues, but some blues of hope. So hope that things go all right, so hope that things go better. Pray for the statue, we pray for the people. We're very glad to see you this evening. My name is Gil Scott-Heron, and this is going to be, if you can help me out, please help me out anytime you can. I will appreciate it. University in Pennsylvania, and I went primarily because of the influence of Langston Hughes. Langston Hughes was a student at Lincoln also, and along with Melvin Tolson and Thurgood Marshall and Kwame Nkrumah, this was a very famous school in the black community, and a lot of famous people. Both performers and legal minds for future lawyers and doctors and judges and writers, many writers had attended Lincoln, and they were all influential in certain ways in the Harlem Renaissance. I live in Harlem now. I live at 112th Street. On 135th Street is the Schomburg Library. Which has like 100,000 volumes of from different writers from the beginning of the century, from the beginning of the 20th century, all the way through the 1990s. Like there have been new editions all the time. But the Harlem Renaissance, of course, brought a literary sort of attitude to the black community. We began to read more. We began to write more. We began to contribute more to the library of the black people in America, and the black people in the West Indies and who'd come from Africa and who settled in the islands and in the southern part of the United States primarily. New York, of course, is the mecca of people worldwide, and Harlem was the center of the black community there. And so the clubs where the music was played and the bookstores where both film and books were available became very influential to me. They were where I stayed in the summertime and looked among the books and the films in the different clubs to find out about the music and the literary. And then I studied at Lincoln to find out more. And when I graduated, by the time I graduated, in fact, before I left college, I had written several books myself and done a few albums and began my own career. And I taught school at the University of DC for 4 years. I taught in literature, I taught fiction, I taught poetry. Langston Hughes was an influential person as far as all black community people were concerned, because he wrote a column in the newspaper, and the black newspapers came out once a week. The Chicago Defender, the Amsterdam News, the Pittsburgh Courier, all of these were influential black newspapers covering their community. And I can recommend anything by Langston Hughes, but I can also recommend Zora Neale Hurston, um, Claude McKay, County Cullen. These are all famous poets who contributed to different newspapers and magazines during the time. Langston Hughes was not only a contributor, but he was an editor. So many of the collections of poetry from the Harlem Renaissance were touched by these people. And they describe an era, a period of life, a period of time that we as a people were going through, and the problems that we were encountering and the way we were trying to handle them. I wrote a couple of novels. Matter of fact, that's what these are. I didn't know what these were, but I know what they are now. These are the novels. One was The Busher. That was the first one I wrote. That's when I quit school when I was 19. And one was The Nigger Factory. It was about life in college, life on the college campus and the things that happened there to cause the uprising there that took place. And I also wanted to write poetry. And this book is Now and Then, and it has some of the poems from then, and some of the poems from now, some of the poems from now, and some of the poems from then. So now and then, we do some poems, and that became the book that was called Small Talk at 125th and Lenox. That was my first book of poetry, and both of those came out a long time ago. This is Small Talk at 125th and Lenox. This was made from the book of poetry that I did with Bob Thiel. I introduced myself to Bob Thiel as a songwriter and a poet, and he read the book of poetry, and then he called me up and he said, I don't have enough money to do an album of music, but I'd like to do an album of spoken word. So we did poems from the Small Talk at 125th and Lenox, and some of the songs that I had written as a songwriter that I performed at the time. This one, actually, the whole idea about the mind of Gil Scott-Heron, I think this is because Clive thought I was crazy. I was working with Clive Davis at the time, and Clive had questions about my mind from time to time, and so he decided to do, that's what he decided to call this album, and it collected some of the poems that we had done along the way. Unfortunately, not all the ones that I wanted to have involved, Whitey on the Moon, The Revolution Will Not Be Televised was not included here, but some of the other ones, the blues poems and some of the others there. This was the last full album I did for Arista before they went crazy and were bought by RCA, and I don't know what happened to them after that. I did another album of live material. Some of it was included on the reissues. The reissues that we did a few years ago. The First Minute of a New Day in South Africa, South Carolina, and Winter in America, included things that we had done live on the road while we were collecting for another album for Arista. And unfortunately, like I said, Arista died, and they were bought by RCA, and they go where all things the RCA touches go when they die. This album was particularly good because I got a chance to arrange some horns. There was a horn arrangement there. The Amnesia Express was a reality then. I got to do a couple of covers also, Bill Withers, Grandma's Hands, Marvin Gaye's Inner City Blues. And I got to fool around with some of the electronics that people are going so crazy about now, because we did B-Movie. And B-Movie had a lot of the loops and the different spins and the different electronic sounds and beeps and bops and shit that everybody thinks is such a great new thing.
Feel kinda down and out, you don't know just what to do. Living all of your days in darkness, let the sun shine through. Ever feel that somehow, somewhere you lost your way? And if you don't get a help quick, you won't make it through the day. Or could you call on Lady Day? Could you call on your troubles away.